Just about 2.5 weeks left in the League One regular season. Two more spots left to clinch in the playoff hunt. Player Shield is still up for grabs. There's so much excitement ahead. Welcome to another episode of League One on the Rocks. My name is Rich. You can find me on Twitter at I'm Rich But I'm Not. Joined as always by the man himself. You can find him on Twitter at Mediocre Ace. Brian, how you doing?
I'm doing good. It's beautiful weather outside today, so got to get outside a little bit. That was nice. We got some really great matches coming up this weekend, and it is definitely clinching season. So a lot of things can happen with this weekend. Not too many spots left, so it's getting to be that time.
It really is. And speaking about the weather, um, I hope everyone down in Florida is safe with Milton. It's really weird how the hurricane has been going on down there, but we're feeling the effects up here because we've been in the 80s for like, I don't know, for a long time now. But these past couple of days, we've been in the low 70s, like just that
Ooh,
cool, nonstop breeze coming over us. It's not been bad. Not going to complain. But I'm also, certainly hoping for the best for everybody that's down in Florida with more dangerous conditions, obviously.
yeah, definitely.
Well, what are you drinking tonight?
Um, so we've gotten down now to the the closer part of the season, the closing parts of the season, and I feel like I started off the season drinking, and I feel like I should finish it that way. So, went out in my travels today. I did go out and I did grab the old standby, the Busch Lights. I've got a couple of them here with me. Um, so I did stock up on them. So from here on out, I think I'm gonna live up to the name that we set for the podcast. Not on the
Very
rocks,
good.
but alcohol at least.
Good, man. I will not be on the rocks tonight, but I am going to go neat. I do have another whiskey. This one's a Kentucky straight bourbon called Angel's Envy.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I like that bottle
Just picked this one
design.
up last week. So I have already broken into it. So I will say that I've already had a taste of it. It is good. I do like it. Listen to this. Love that
Oh,
sound.
great sound. I love it.
Ooh, that's
I,
a
don't,
deeper pour than I was expecting.
I also love that you have turned into the whiskey guy of the show. It's turned out that way, and I'm a huge fan of it.
I'm loving it too. Um, we got something to toast tonight.
We
I
do.
don't know if you know,
No, probably not.
today is our good friend Gio's birthday.
I did actually know that.
Yeah.
So happy
So
birthday out there to Gio.
happy birthday, Gio. We love you, buddy. All right. Well, look, we have a bunch of news to get into. We have a recap to get into. We have previews for this weekend to get into. We have clinching scenarios. We have questions coming at us. So, I mean, let's just dive right in.
I like it.
I'll get to the top of the outline here. First bit of news, we have another team joining League One in the coming years. It was just announced a couple days ago that Corpus Christi out of Texas has been awarded the rights to a USL League One franchise.
Yeah, I mean, not super shocking if you guys have been paying attention. Which honestly, I assume anybody that's listening to us pays very close attention to um, League One rumors and stuff going around. So, not a huge surprise to hear Corpus Christi coming in. I think they've been trying to get in for a little while now, but um, it's awesome that there's another team in the league. I mean, it's definitely a jaunt for most teams to get down to the coast of Texas down there. But um, hey, man, more teams, the more growth you can get, the better. So I'm all for it, and that sounds like a hell of a way get down there as well. After, of course, I get to any of the away days of the teams that are currently in the league. I did have an interaction with with Rob over in our group chat saying that if Madison and Omaha make it in, then it doesn't matter where it's at. I'll be traveling to wherever it's at, whether it be here in Omaha or up to Madison.
Nice. Well, at this point, it's looking like it's going to be Omaha.
Mm-hmm. They got to make it through. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, like I said, I got to get to the other places around the league. I think next year is definitely going to be the one that I'll be making quite a few trips next season. I'm not going to hit all of them, but I definitely have a few in my mind that I do want to make it out to.
Which ones do you want to go to first and foremost?
First and foremost, I want to go see the Omaha Madison Derby up in Madison. That'd be a good one. I'd like to get down to Greenville. That's obviously another rivalry for Omaha. And then for ease's sake, make it out to Northern Colorado and see a match out there. And then City Stadium is a big one on my list. I want to go up there, and that environment has to be crazy. Plus all the history that is in that stadium. I mean, it'd be a tough sell to not get me to try to get up there at least one time.
Yeah. I love going to Madison. I love going to Richmond. Um, Charlotte has a really cool vantage point because you have all the skyscrapers from downtown Charlotte right there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty cool. Greenville, beautiful, beautiful area. All the mountainous like trees and everything, and it's just such a cool area. Um, I just got back from Northern Colorado, so yeah, that's another place that I've been. That's a cool place too. It's I like how the seats are like right up against the pitch. Like it's intimate in that kind of way. I like that.
Oh,
Um,
I definitely think we can all see that from even from the camera angles and everything that is a very tight stadium, especially that standing room only across from the camera. That
yeah,
there ain't a whole lot of room down there.
yeah. I got to see Nick from Linners and Woozers. He was back behind the goal, um, doing his chants and songs and everything. So that was really cool to see him. I got to chat with Coach Amon for a bit. I got to see Casey for a bit. So that was a really fun trip to see those people at that club. And I mean, those are cool people to chat with. It's always fun to
Yeah.
get some time to chat with them. So Northern Colorado was a fun trip. Um, and it's I just really like, I don't know, like I was just saying, I just like how it's so intimate. I
Mm-hmm.
haven't been to Chattanooga yet, but uh, I have to believe it's similar in that way that the seats are just like right up against the pitch like that, and I
Oh,
like
it
that.
seems like it. Yeah, I think watching matches down there when you can pick out everybody in the stands is like facial features moving throughout the match that you know that stadium is very tight.
Yeah, yeah. If they could, and I don't, this doesn't, I don't want this to sound like an insult, um, but
But
for
it's gonna.
Charlotte, it is, and I truly don't mean it to sound like an insult. Charlotte's stadium has that same kind of feel. And when more fans start coming to that stadium, that's going to be such a rocking place to be. It's going to
Yeah,
be cool.
it seems like it, man. That I will say that is probably one of the best looking uh, pitches in the entire league. I mean, you can really tell that those guys really take care of that pitch, and it's not just you know, it's not meant for just third division soccer. Kind of that good enough look and feel that a lot of stadiums in this league have. And anybody listening that thinks they know which one I'm talking about, yes, that is the one that I'm talking about, whichever one you think it is. Um, but yeah, I mean, it'll be cool. Like I said, I would definitely want to get out out to a lot of those stadiums next season, and we'll just kind of have to see how it all plays out. I mean, I'll have time to travel next season, so good time for it, I think.
Good. That's gonna be awesome. Well, you should definitely add this to your list because you said that you wanted to go to Greenville. Extra motivation behind that is just announced Brazilian soccer legend Ronaldinho joins the Greenville Triumph and Greenville Liberty Soccer Club ownership group.
Like
Freaking insane.
I just comes out of nowhere too. There's been no teases. There's been no nothing. It's been like damn near radio silence out of Greenville, and then it comes out. Oh, by the way, here's a legend of the game, and he just bought
Yeah,
into our ownership group.
yeah. And
Okay,
they're ringing the bell over at the New York Stock Exchange.
it's insane.
Freaking crazy, man.
USL L1, the biggest league in the world, confirmed.
There you go, right there.
Move over Premier League. It's done.
Yep. So the quote that Ronaldinho had in the article that was posted on the league website, um, coming from Ronaldinho, the emphasis the Greenville Triumph and Liberty place on youth play through the boys and girls youth academy teams and the level of competitive excellence of the Triumph professional team and Liberty pre-professional team is impressive, Ronaldinho said. For me and our group, this is an opportunity to support soccer's growth at all ages and levels, and to be part of a community that values international presence and a unique blend of cultures. Yeah,
I
spot
mean,
on.
yeah, guy did his research. That's for sure. I think anybody that's followed the league kind of can tell all of those things are hits the nail right on the head. So, um, just just insane. I mean, I don't even know what I could compare that to. How big of a deal this actually is. And especially for like the growth of the league and stuff like that. Obviously, that's going to get more eyes on it. Even if the league gets 100 more eyes on it because of this, that's 100 more eyes for literally no work. It was a couple social media posts and being up at the New York Stock Exchange, like insane. And that's just, it is really cool. And I'm at a complete loss for words, which isn't the best thing when you are a podcaster to be out of words for something, but I just can't
Yeah,
emphasize how big of a deal this is. I just can't do it justice.
yeah, it's really cool. And I love how Gio posted that something on Twitter, checking to see if his new pack had Ronaldinho in it or something like that, like
Yeah.
expecting like a free gift on the new FIFA game. That's awesome. I thought that was funny. I have not purchased the new FIFA one. Have you?
I I've never been big into any of the FIFAs. I also don't own a console right now, so that's part of it. I could get it on PC. I had FIFA 21 on PC, but it's just not the same, man. The player base isn't as big on PC and everything like that, and I think it's just one of those things you sit back on the couch and do, not here at my chair that I spend the majority of my free time in already.
Yeah.
Um, and it's so no, I have not purchased it. Um, I will say I did want to get to this before the end of the show. Shout out to all the 90s kids out there because before the show started, I was playing Backyard Baseball 97, which just came out on Steam today. Of course, I had to get my boy Pablo Sanchez. He's my leadoff batter. Went 0 for 1 so far. I had to stop myself and do a little bit more research for the show before I got on. But Pablo, it's always good to see him back.
Man, I played that game so many times in the past.
And I mean, to bring it back into, the soccer verse, they are planning on releasing every single one of their backyard sports games
Oh,
back onto Steam as well. So as soon as
that's
backyard soccer comes out, that was my jam before I even started watching soccer. So um, I can't wait, man. It's been a blast of nostalgia so far. So um, yeah, I just wanted to put that out there because I know There's some '90s kids around here that would appreciate that one.
That's cool.
Actually, I think our entire listener base is probably of age to remember backyard baseball and the backyard sports games. So
Yep. Well, we're getting some good comments here from Tim over Ranting Blue Penguin in the live chat. Um, Talking about the bourbon that I have tonight. Angel's Envy makes me think they didn't get their angel's share in the distilling process.
you must
Okay.
not have got to pay.
And then let's see here. Ooh, I would love a League One on the Rocks roadshow from Knoxville's best distillery. Ooh, I would love that.
I would just love to do a League One on the Rocks roadshow from anywhere. Honestly,
Yes,
we're gonna have to make
that would
that
be
happen.
awesome.
I've got the microphones, so we can definitely do it.
Yeah. Not only do we have these two that we're using here, but I have four XLR microphones, and I have this podcast recording device here. So yeah, we could make it happen easily.
I think we'll get to it definitely.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. And then Tim is also saying that the consensus is that FC25 is the worst one in years. I have not heard that.
Hmm.
That's not good news. I don't like that. Ooh, FIFA Blitz. Yeah, that'd be cool. All right. Well, other news in League One, September's Coach of the Month, Union Omaha's Dominic Casciato.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to argue with it. 3 wins, 1 draw, no losses. They the first club to clinch a playoff berth. Um, I mean I think they've now mathematically clinched a first round home match for sure. So yeah, I mean it's tough to argue with those stats. I mean I like the pick. I can't argue with it, and that's not just because I'm a Union Omaha fan.
Yeah. And with his selection as Coach of the Month, this makes it his third time being chosen Coach of the Month, which puts him in the company of John Harkes out of Greenville, Eric Quill from North Texas, John Bradford over at North Carolina, and Mike Jeffries at Charlotte Independence as the only coaches in League One history to be named Coach of the Month on 3 or more occasions.
I mean that's good company, man. I
Yeah.
mean you've got 3 guys on that list that have won League One titles, and then one who made it to a final. So I mean that's all you need to know right there.
Hmm. Yep. Week 22 player of the week was Northern Colorado's Lalo Delgado. Last week, he had 2 clean sheets. And in those 2 matches, he had 15 saves. Wow.
No joke, man.
Yeah. He did look good in the when I was there for the Tormenta match.
I mean,
Unfortunately, he did.
yeah. I mean, it's really hard to it's really hard to not like him as a person. I mean, I remember he was here this summer for one of the matches, and I was standing on the berm. We got in super early. I don't know why we got in so early for the match, but it was like right when the gates opened. We went in, and so I was a few beers deep, so I was yelling some stuff, from the sideline a little bit, like, "Hey, you guys are going down today," stuff like that. Just smiled, waved, nothing, didn't take it to heart, laughed a little bit. I mean, everybody knows my thing about when I give shit to players, coaches, if they just take it in stride, they become my favorite people in the world. So it's
Yeah.
really hard not to like that guy.
Every player seems to have their own routine when they're warming up for a match. And when I saw him ahead of the Tormenta match this past weekend, just seemed so calm,
Hmm.
so calm. And just not just like calm as in, laser eyed focus, but like calm as in like go with the flow. He was obviously focused on the task at hand, but
He
just
seems relaxed.
yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the biggest takeaway that I had from watching him warm up. It was just sort of like, yeah, I'm at the office, but I'm not stressed.
Mm-hmm.
All right, man. Good for you.
Seems like it, man. Some of those guys have that mentality. I mean, there's definitely some players in this league that take the approach of, the laser-eyed focus, and then the badass hard ass guy out there on the pitch and everything like that. Not Delgado, man. He just comes in, does his job, and leaves. That's really
Yeah,
all there is to it.
yeah, man. Just another day at the office.
Yeah, I think a professional comes to mind when thinking about him. That's for sure.
Hmm. Well, we got some more comments from Tim over here. Let's see. Curse is real. Hashtag coach of the month. Hashtag drawing Richmond. And
I
then
mean, it happens, man. You get a
yeah,
draw on the road, you'll take a draw on the road, man.
yeah,
I don't think the curse is real. I definitely have seen that floating around. Definitely not a real thing. But
yeah. Yep. And then a current look at the standings. Union Omaha is still the only club who has clinched a top four finish. So they will, no matter what, have a first round hosting match.
already got my
Um,
seats
the rest of the
reserved.
teams, the rest of the teams 2 through 6 are separated by only 5 points.
It's close.
Yeah. Places 7 and 8 are still up for grabs, though Spokane does have a pretty firm grasp on seventh place. So it wouldn't be of any surprise to see them finish in seventh at least.
Mm-hmm.
And then big battle between Richmond, Tormenta, Chattanooga, and I mean, maybe Lexington. But even Central Valley is not mathematically eliminated this week. So it's going to be a big weekend um, ahead of us.
Watch that wooden spoon race, man.
Yeah, it's going to be a close one.
Central Valley may have
Um,
kept the entire season on the bottom and then sneak up into that 11 spot at the end of the season.
yep, could happen, especially with that win against Spokane on Wednesday or last night. Yeah,
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Last night. Yep. Scoring in the
Oh yeah, that's
fourth,
right. It's Thursday.
like the
Jeez.
fourth minute is when they scored their goal and held on for the
Yeah,
entire match.
yeah.
Insane.
And there have been quite a few teams who have been really hot in their last three. I mean, 5 teams in the league have 7 points gained out of a possible 9. Um, with a surprising, club included in that list is Richmond. They've been
Mm-hmm.
on a tear lately.
Yeah, 2 wins and then a draw against top seeded Union Omaha. That's a hell of a stretch right there.
Yeah. Um, they're making a strong case to claim that eighth and final spot in the playoffs. It's going to be a close one though. Now, what I'm wondering is we did predict that teams like One Knox and Spokane would drop a little bit because their upcoming schedule was going to be a difficult one. They were facing some pretty heavy teams in that. I did not see Charlotte performing the way that they have. In their last 5, they've lost 2, only won once in their last 5.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Pretty surprising performances there.
Yeah, they went from one of those teams that you kind of knew were going to be really good. You just didn't talk about them. I mean, we talked about that midway through the season, how they were having such a good season with being just super quiet. But even in this like bad stretch that they've had in the past 4 matches, you still don't hear about them at all, and it's crazy. I mean, they're still in 5th place right now. Like you said, you know, 6th through 3rd is separated by 2 points. You know, um, so anything can really happen in these last couple of matches, but definitely not on my bingo card to see Charlotte struggle this late in the season.
Yeah, I thought for sure Charlotte would be a top four.
It
There's
it
still
looks like it.
time for that to happen,
Hmm.
but at this point, like seeing them in fifth, that surprises me. But at the same time, Greenville's won two of the last three. So, I mean, they were sort of exercising those demons that they were, you know, dealing with not too long ago in the season.
It's true, and I mean when you look here at Charlotte too. I was just looking up their next match is against Northern Colorado. It's at home, but Northern Colorado, don't look now. That team's starting to move.
Yeah, they really are.
They got over the hump of that slow start rather quickly, and not so much quietly because they had their obviously they had their Jägermeister Cup run, but I think that Cup run kind of overshadowed their league their league involvement. 'Cause, I mean, they're all the way up in third place right now. They're 7 points from the top. So I mean, granted, their chances of finishing first are rather low, but um, they're definitely solidly in there as a home playoff contender.
Yeah, and then after that, they have away matches to finish out the season against Lexington, against Richmond. So not the strongest opponents to finish out the season. So they still have a chance to rise up in the standings.
Hmm.
But certainly this next match against NOCO is going to be um, really interesting to watch
Yeah,
because that
that'll be a
obviously
tough
that's
one.
a playoff matchup as well.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, looking at what we just said about Richmond too, you got to watch out for them. They've built a little bit of confidence over this stretch. They've proven that they can play with the top guys. So it's another one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, especially if you think about the fact that if Tormenta and Richmond draw this weekend, that race is going to go down to the last day of the season.
Yeah,
So that's going to be a close one. I don't anticipate the eighth seed being locked up. It depends on how tomorrow's match goes.
yeah,
Um, if one of the teams wins tomorrow, I anticipate that team getting eighth place for the playoffs.
yeah. I mean, those are the two teams fighting for that spot. So I mean, I don't think either of those two are catching Spokane to take over that seventh spot. It could be done. Obviously, anything can happen. But a 6 point lead with three to go is that's a difficult one to get over.
Yeah, especially with their opponents. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's going to be tough. But to go through week 22, just a quick recap there. On Tuesday, October 1st, we had a draw between One Knox and Madison, finishing out 1-1. Very next night, we had two matches. This one, you actually went to this first one because it was like a noon kickoff or something like that.
It was noon. I went into work for a total of an hour and 45 minutes to do something that I had to get done, that only I have been doing. So I'm the only one that knew how to do it. So I had taken the day off, but ended up going in for 2 hours to finish that up. Came back, took a nap, and then headed to the match. And it was so cool. I mean, it you got, what did they say? Almost 3,000 kids there, from area schools. So really cool to see all the kids there. Most of them stayed until, I'd say, probably about the 80th minute or so, and then they all started heading out towards the buses and everything. But definitely really cool, and really something. When I first was announced, I was kind of like, well, that sucks. An 11, a noon kickoff. That really sucks, but ended up being a beautiful day outside. The kids were loud too. That anybody that was there would tell you that those kids brought the energy and the noise. So it was really cool to see that um, that Omaha went out and beat Spokane 4-0 to really give the kids a show.
Yeah. And like you said, when this was first announced, it was a bit of a controversial announcement, but in the end, it ended up being a big success. Do you
Yeah.
think this should be like a new tradition for Union Omaha?
Yeah, I mean it'd be pretty cool to see. I don't necessarily know about a every year kind of tradition because those dune kicks when you got to take off work and stuff to go to them. I mean, I can tell you that as far as adults were there, that there was not very many. I think the attendance was like 4,000 something, and so I think 3,000 or 3,200 of them were kids. So um, yeah, the adult attendance was definitely definitely lacking. That was one of the easier times I ever had getting in and out of that parking lot. Um, and it's not just because I rode the motorcycle in. That was just because it was there was nobody there.
Tim, the kids left when they killed alcohol sales.
I mean, that's fair. You can't go to school, back to school hungover. It just doesn't. It's not supposed to work that way. Can't still be drunk anyway when you go back to school. That limits your
Yeah.
learning abilities.
And Tim raises a good point here. The kids' game and timing was a big plus for the team from his perspective. It could work out to your benefit because I mean, you and I, as Husker fans, we see them kick off at 11 a.m. on plenty of occasions. I feel like if it's a match day, look, I want to wake up and I want to get going. Just throw me in there. Let's get it done. But having to wait all day for that kickoff at 7 p.m., 8 p.m., whatever it is, man, that's a lot of waiting.
I don't think you're waiting right. My waiting involves, a case of beer and the parking lot. So, I mean, granted, when you were still here in Omaha, you had actual like press box duties to do. So that makes sense. But I'll definitely tell you, the waiting is uh, is definitely easier when you're halfway through 30 rack of bush lights in the parking lot.
Yeah. I can tell you, man, match days, I'm on my computer. Oh, man, most of the day leading up to kickoff. I get a few spare moments away from my computer and then I get right back to it. It's those are busy days, but I love it. Love it,
Yeah.
love it, love it. But to get back to the week 22 recap, Fuego hosted Northern Colorado and went down with a hailstorm victory 1-0.
Mhm.
Friday, there was another match with Ford Madison defeating Charlotte on the road 4-2.
Big match. Madison looked
Big
really
match.
good.
They did. And then Greenville defeated Lexington at home 2-1. Richmond and Omaha drew 0-0 at City Stadium. Um, the Red Wolves and One Knox drew 1-1 at the Den. And then Hailstorm defeated Tormenta 4-0 there at Four Rivers Equipment Stadium. So looking ahead to week 23, we do have some clinching scenarios. Now, as we said earlier in the episode, there will not be any teams eliminated from the playoffs this weekend, but we do have two spots remaining in the playoffs. One of them could be taken this weekend. Of the six teams that are currently locked in for the playoffs, you have Omaha, Ford Madison, Northern Colorado, Greenville, Charlotte, One Knox. Spokane could be the next team to clinch a playoff spot. Now, they have three scenarios where they could do this. The simplest scenario for them is to just beat Greenville this weekend. Win and you're in. Now, if they draw versus Greenville, they would need Chattanooga to either lose or draw against Madison on the road to Madison, by the way. That's tough.
Mm.
And those two play each other very tough, too. Now, if Spokane loses to Greenville, they still have a scenario in which they could qualify for the playoffs. If Richmond wins or draws at Tormenta tomorrow night, and Lexington loses or draws at Omaha, and Chattanooga loses or draws at Madison. So there's a bit of a tiered system here. Obviously, going back to that simplest one, beat Greenville.
Just win, baby.
That's all you got to do. Yeah. On the other end of the spectrum, you have Omaha, who could clinch their third player shield, second year in a row. If they beat Lexington and Madison drops points either by losing or drawing at home versus Chattanooga, the player shield goes to Union Omaha.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely um, definitely a possibility that that happens this weekend. I don't necessarily see it happening this weekend, but I think it's probably locked up by Omaha next weekend, uh, and then Omaha gets to celebrate with the Shield at home against Central Valley Fuego on the last match day of the season.
So they win the player shield next weekend at Tormenta.
Next week at Tormenta. I'm not gonna give it. I'm not gonna give you why I think that we do because we're gonna do score predictions later. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't see Omaha clinching it this week, but I do think it is just a matter of time before Omaha does.
Yeah. Well, looking at this weekend's matches, we have 6 matches. One of them has already occurred with last night's Central Valley Fuego 1-0 victory over Spokane. The
Shocking.
only team that has a bye week this week, which is kind of surprising this late in the season, is One Knox. Spokane, on the other hand, plays twice this week. So the next match up is tomorrow night with a 7:30 Eastern time kickoff on ESPN Plus. Tormenta hosting Richmond. This one's for 8th place.
Yep.
This is it.
Yeah, we wanted. Excuse me. We wanted to see tight tables at the top, bottom, and middle, and that's what we got. So buckle up, everybody. This is the point of the season where if you weren't nervous on a regular match day, these are the ones that get you there. Um, Obviously, it's a big, huge matchup, um, and obviously they've got some promotions going on. It's Kick Cancer Night and Oktoberfest Night, so it's definitely a good reason to get down to the park and support with Kick Cancer going on there because obviously great thing to be supporting cancer research and stuff like that, and of course Oktoberfest. I think we're all soccer fans. Generally speaking, I'd say about 95% of us are beer drinkers as well. So the two great reasons to get down. If you needed a bigger reason, then this is the match that will probably decide which of these two teams makes it into the playoffs.
Yeah. And both clubs have only lost once in their last 5 matches. Um, and just as we said, this would be a huge win for either team, but it would also be detrimental to the other team's chances of making the playoffs. And looking at the history between these two teams, could get pretty chippy. They've already played each other once in the regular season with Tormenta winning on the road to Richmond earlier in the season. I think it was like week 3 or week 4 or something like that.
Super early, yeah.
And they've also played twice in the Jägermeister Cup. Let me get the results here. Um, so they played in week 3 in the regular season, Tormenta winning 3-1 on the road at City Stadium. In the Jägermeister Cup, in round 3, Richmond won at home 2-1. And then in round 7, they came to Tormenta Stadium, finishing in a 1-1 draw and then winning on PKs 6-5. So very close.
Mhm.
But just as we said, this could get chippy because when you look at the amount of yellow cards that both teams have amassed throughout the entire season, Richmond is in 4th place in the league with 56. Tormenta is in 5th with 52. To go one step further, 9 out of the last 10 matches between these two clubs have seen 4 or more cards. To go even further, In 8 of the last 10 matches, there has been a card inside the first 30 minutes. This is going to get chippy.
Oh
It's
yeah.
going to get intense. With everything that's on the line with this match alone, that stat right there is going to ring true. I guarantee you. I can't say I'm going to put money on it because I would lose my job,
You
but
can't put money on that. No.
I can't put money on that. I can't bet.
I
Dave's
can though.
You can. So if you want a guaranteed, just looking at the stats alone, I'm not giving you any inside information here. Just looking at history alone, I'm trying to backpedal and defend myself as much as I can here.
Yeah, me and you were talking
Um,
about. I gave you this idea. What you're saying, I told you earlier pre-show, and you're just repeating it.
please don't come after me. Um, yes, this is going to be a chippy affair. It's going to be intense. There's a lot on the line. Um, and it's been such a close affair between these two. 4 of the last regular season meetings at Tormenta Stadium have resulted in a draw. And since Richmond has a 1 point lead on Tormenta in the standings as we look at it now, a draw benefits Richmond a ton in this case.
Yeah.
Because if you look beyond tomorrow's match, their remaining matches, both at home, by the way, they play Chattanooga and then they finish the season against Charlotte. Whereas Tormenta, their last 2 matches, they host Union Omaha next weekend, and then they go on the road to Greenville after that. Hardest schedule to finish off the season in the league.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean this. Listen, I mean this is going to be one of those matches where it's really going to be gut check time. I completely agree. I think this is going to be a cagey affair. I think both teams are really going to be putting themselves out there to get those 3 points. If you're a Tormenta fan, if you come out of here with a draw, you're not feeling great about your chances for the rest of the season. In my head, if Tormenta comes out of this with a draw, they can all but kiss their playoff hopes goodbye. I think Richmond takes care of business if they get a draw or a win against Tormenta. That being said, even if Richmond ends up losing this match, their road is significantly easier, obviously, than Tormenta's is. Just by virtue of being at home for both of their matches. I mean, these are both they're going to have a couple matches here where it's going to get really chippy because obviously with what Rich said about the chippiness of these two teams against each other, Chattanooga plays everybody chippy. So it's going to be tough for them. Tough for them either way. They're going to definitely be sore for that one against Charlotte. So I really do think that if Tormenta comes out of this with a win, their chances still aren't terrific to make the playoffs, but they are significantly better than they would be otherwise. So huge match for Tormenta, huge match for Richmond. You put a couple more points up on Tormenta, you probably cement them out of it, and it's you make the playoffs, granted as an 8 seed, but if you finish the season as an 8 seed, you're also getting either probably Omaha or Madison. So looking forward, that 8 seed is not a super envious position for any team in the league either. So
Yeah, I think I sent you a stat earlier this week that that must have given you a lot of confidence as a Union Omaha fan heading into the first round of the playoffs.
yeah, everybody that's in the like content creator group chat saw that. I sent that in and gave you credit for it too. So
Oh, did you? Okay, thank you.
of course, of course. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But getting back to this match, it's definitely going to be chippy. It's going to be a lot of emotion out there on the field. And I think we're setting up for a really good match between these two. I don't think we're going to see a super defensive battle. I think both of these teams can score and will score in this one. I know Richmond has earned 3 clean sheets, but they also have won one of their last 5 away matches. So that being said, Tormenta's only won one of their last 5 home matches. So you have a team that is not very good away and a team that is not very good at home. Something's got to give here. Something's got to. Or they could just draw, and then it's all for naught. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think we see a winner in this one, and I think it's definitely going to be exciting.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be very exciting match. Fireworks on the field. Not literally. There will not be a fireworks show, but
Yeah, pyrotechnics are illegal in League One, as some of our listeners are already aware of.
True. Yes, that is true.
Allegedly.
Yes.
Allegedly.
But I agree with you. This match is going to be very exciting. I also agree with you. I anticipate this one being open. So it's going to be fans are going to get their workout turning their head left to right like all night.
Yep.
Because it's not going to be one-way traffic in this match. It's going to be back and forth, and it's going to be intense.
Yeah, I would say definitely look for a lot of breaks between these two teams.
Yeah.
Both of these teams are going to be try to sit in defensively, but keep enough guys forward that their counterattack can move, because both of these teams have the pieces to be able to counterattack very quickly. It's just I am also a little bit worried about some of the finishing between both of these two teams. This season, I mean, they haven't exactly proved that either of them are really able to score that much. I mean, granted, Tormenta does have a better track record of scoring than Richmond does, with 28 goals scored this season to Richmond's 21. But it's the only time it matters is during the match, because League One is weird and goes with wins as your tiebreaker as opposed to goal differential. So,
yep.
Ooh, Tim also coming in. Excuse me, beer's getting to me. Saying that, by the way, Wesley Costa is the ref for Tormenta and Richmond, and he's averaging less than 7 cards per match in his last 6 as the center ref. So you have a referee that doesn't like to give cards coming out with two teams that love to get yellow cards. So something's got to give there as well. I think with the implications coming into this and both teams wanting to make the playoffs, I think he's going to have to break his card average in this.
He's saying just under 7 cards per match.
Oh, wow. Per match. Okay. So he's going to give some cards.
That's tough. So I didn't do any research to see who could be in yellow card trouble. I guess I need to look into that.
Yep. And then Tim coming in.
He's a
saying that he is a Carter. I misread that. That one's on me.
Ooh. Okay, so there's another element of drama to keep track of in this match.
A lot of cards.
Yeah, a lot of cards. So that's the match for tomorrow night. Do you want to do predictions at the end, or do you want to do them as we go?
We can do them as we go.
Okay, cool. All right, so I can't do predictions for this one.
Correct.
So what are you thinking?
Yeah, this one, with everything that we said, I honestly, I think Tormenta comes out in this one. I think they're going to be able to counterattack and finish their chances a little bit better than Richmond does. So I see Tormenta getting this one and winning it 3-2.
We're going to the playoffs.
I wouldn't necessarily go that far. Winning this match, I do see for Tormenta. Making the playoffs with Union Omaha and the Greenville Triumph on their schedule still, I feel like the playoffs are a bit of a stretch, but you'll have
Hey, but think of it this way: if Tormenta gets the 8th seed, I get to come visit in the first round.
that's true.
Because regardless if I'm traveling with the team or not, I'm still coming.
See, listen, my want to see you does not change whether or not I feel like Tormenta's making the playoffs, even if they win this match. That does not factor into it at all.
Yeah.
It's yeah, but I do see Tormenta winning this one. I think they just have a little bit more firepower than Richmond does.
Yeah. I'll take it. All right. So the first of the Saturday matches, this is actually kind of an early kickoff, earlier than I was expecting. 5 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN Plus,
Yep.
Omaha hosting Lexington.
Yeah, this is one of those matches where Omaha does this at the end of the season. You know, you obviously know, Rich. We'll start doing matches earlier because it does cool down quite a bit. Um, and honestly, looking at the forecast for next week, it's supposed to be in the low 60s all next week. So I think if this would have been a 7 p.m. match, that cool down would have been severely felt by everybody there. But as it looks right now, about 80 degrees or so for kickoff in this match. So it'll get over just in time for that cold front to kind of start hitting in. But yeah, I mean, it's Hispanic Heritage Night. They're going to have table vendors out there. If I remember right from last season, they're going to have a lot of educational opportunities around the concourse for a bunch of, obviously for Hispanic heritage, but just some of the groups in the area and stuff like that. I expect to see some of the teams from South O, some of the youth teams coming up for this one as well. For those that don't know, South Omaha is generally has a higher population of people with Hispanic heritage, so I expect to see quite a few up here, which will be great. I actually think with the earlier kickoff, the Player Shield considerations, and the fact that Omaha is a good team, I expect a really good turnout. Between all that and the weather, I think we could see another 4,000 people in the stands for this one, which would be great.
Yeah. And the Huskers have a bye week. So
Huskers do have a bye week.
nothing else for them to do. So get in there to Warner Park and cheer on Union Omaha.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And heading into this match, Union Omaha has 3 straight clean sheets, outscoring their opponents 5-0.
Mm-hmm.
And Union Omaha is actually one of the better teams against the bottom 4 clubs um, in the table as we look at it now. They have 12 points in 5 matches, averaging 2.4 points per match. But if you flip it and look at Lexington versus the top 4 clubs, they only have 2 points in 7 matches, averaging 0.286 points per match. Now, that gets even worse if you look at Lexington playing top 4 teams on the road, because they've earned 0 points in 3 matches, scoring 3 goals, conceding 11 with a goal differential of -8.
Mm.
Um, so in those 3 matches on the road against top 4 teams, they're averaging almost 4 goals conceded per match.
Yikes.
That's not
Um,
a good record.
that is not a good record for Lexington. That you have two things that are really working against Lexington statistically in this one, and honestly, I feel bad for saying it, but the eye test even says that this team is just not very good. I mean, I think everybody is well aware of how much stock I put into stats, but those are some pretty damning, damning stats going into it as well. So, um, yeah, this one is super tough. If you're a Lexington fan, I don't really see a way that Lexington comes out of Omaha with any points at all.
Yeah, I agree. And as successful as Union Omaha has been in scoring their goals, I mean, let me scroll up here. In their last three, they've scored 5 goals. In their last five, they've scored 11 goals in their last five.
Yeah.
Wow. And in the last five, they've only conceded 3 goals. And they're playing defensive teams like Spokane, One Knox, Greenville. I mean, and then a very stoutly defensive setup with Northern Colorado who can, play both ways.
Hmm.
Oh man. Yeah. So Lexington is about to walk into a buzzsaw, basically.
Yeah, and I mean their schedule does not really get that much better. Lexington plays Charlotte at home, and then they are at Chattanooga to close out the season.
Yeah.
That's tough.
And as it stands, Union Omaha, their two future opponents are currently in the bottom four. They go
Tormenta
to
and Fuego.
Tormenta and then they host Central Valley Fuego.
Yep. But I will say, history has shown Central Valley Fuego likes to come here the last match of the season because the last time they did,
True,
they
they
won.
do.
So,
That's weird that they do. Yeah, it's weird.
but yeah, I mean, going into this one with kind of with everything that we said, predictions wise, I see Union Omaha blowing them out of the water. I think Union Omaha walks away pretty comfortably with this one with a 3-0 win.
I'm gonna go Omaha. Yeah, I think it's gonna be bad. I think it'll be Omaha 4-0.
Ooh,
I wanted to say 3-0, but I think once you took that, I was like, if I'm gonna side either 2-0 or 4-0, I feel more confident in 4-0.
yeah. It's just tough, man. I think Omaha is just playing super well right now. They're going to be pending. I mean, I know you have the suspension for is that Gomez who got the red card in the last match. Um, so you'll be without him, but you'll have Pedro Dolabella is going to be back in the lineup, which Tim also brings up a good point in the live chat that the referee has given a red card in 3 of his last 5 matches as a center and gave 9 cards out, 9 yellow cards to the Greenville versus Omaha in July. And pointing out that also Pedro Dolabella is 1 yellow card away from a suspension. So
9 yellow cards in that match against Greenville.
it's a lot.
Wow, 9. I didn't know it was that high.
That's a lot. Um,
Yeah,
so, I mean, even this 3-0 scoreline that I went with, it really depends on who in Omaha's squad is fit. I know Omaha's still waiting for Steven Dos Santos to make a return, and I think he brings a lot to that physicality to that front line, and he's definitely a body that people have to come to, so it opens up opportunities for others. I think that was the biggest thing that they were missing against Richmond. It seemed like guys had to kind of do it on their own, and defensively they could man up and be fine against them. So pending the return of some of their big names, I think if they can get somebody like Dos Santos back, I definitely feel a lot more confident in that 3-0, 4-0. But yeah, I also have a lot of confidence in Omaha's defense, man. They've been playing lights out too. So it's tough
yeah,
for Lexington. Tough way to close out the season as well. Those are not easy matches.
yeah. Shout out to Tim for noticing that Pedro's 1 card away from suspension. Um, you know, Pedro has 8 goals on the season, and so far this season, let me go back to the standings. So with Pedro sitting on 8 goals scored, and Union Omaha has loading, loading, loading. Oh, that's dumb. It didn't. That's not what I wanted either. All right, so there we go. All right, so um, Pedro has 8 goals on the season of the 39 that Union Omaha has scored. So what, 20%
Mhm.
of Union Omaha's goals?
Right.
Um, Big contributor to their goal count. So having him, miss a match is certainly gonna um, be noticed when they come to Tormenta.
Yep.
If assuming he does get a yellow card, I'm not trying to throw that narrative out there.
Put it in the ether. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen the League One script yet, so I don't know for sure.
Right. Of course.
So after that 5 p.m. Oh man, excuse me. After the 5 p.m. kickoff, we have a 6 p.m. kickoff with Ford Madison hosting Chattanooga for Indigenous Peoples Night. They have a ticket package, as you might suspect. For $30, you get a flock-end ticket as well as a scarf. And I've seen the scarf. They have the design on their website. It's a nice looking scarf. It's like a
Good.
white scarf, but it has like the traditional like Hispanic heritage or Indigenous Peoples Night design on one side of it. It looks good.
Try to pull that up right now.
And when you look at Ford Madison versus Chattanooga, in Ford Madison's last 4 regular season matches, they have scored 5 first half goals. And this could be so. We talked a little bit about the card troubles that could be experienced in the Tormenta Richmond match, as well as possible scenarios in the Union Omaha Lexington match. This one could see some fireworks as well, because in each of the last 10 matches between Ford Madison and Chattanooga, there's been 4 or more cards, and at least one card has been given in the first 30 minutes in each of those last 10 matches between these two clubs. So these two teams play each other very intensely as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that isn't super surprising though, honestly.
Yeah. With the styles that Ford Madison plays as well as the style that Chattanooga plays, yeah.
There we
You
go.
would have to suspect that something's going to happen there.
So, sorry, I just found this. I can bring it over. I don't know if Rich, you probably won't be able to see it unless you have the stream up. But yes, that is the scarf that they are putting out for tomorrow. So super cool. Um, as always, the Forward Madison marketing department knocking it out of the park with their cool stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you did a great job. Yeah, it looks good. I have the stream pulled up on one monitor. So I was able to see it. Yeah, it's a good looking scarf.
It is. I like it. I mean, so going into this match, it's going to be tough for Chattanooga to get anything off of Forward Madison. I think Forward Madison and Union Omaha are the two teams right now that are just heads and tails better than the rest of the league, at least from an eye test perspective. I think these are the definitely the two teams to beat right now. Um, we know Chattanooga plays hard, and we know that Madison also plays hard. And Madison is one of those teams where I think it's a little bit easier to get into the players of Forward Madison's heads, which is exactly the game that Chattanooga wants. Um, but I really have a tough time trying to talk myself out of Madison winning this match. I just don't really see a way. When you go top to bottom talent level, you go top to bottom run of form, it all favors Madison, and the eye test favors Madison as well. So I know cards are going to be an issue. It I still just like Madison's chances in this one better than I do Chattanooga's.
Yeah, I agree with you. So if we were to, I mean, let's look up here because in Madison's last three, they're undefeated, and their last five, they're undefeated, outscoring their opponent in their last five matches by 10-4
Mm-hmm.
with two shutouts. I'm sorry, with two clean sheets.
Yeah. And Chattanooga hasn't won since July 27th. And that was a
Yeah.
win at Union Omaha 1-0. That's a long time to go without a win. I still think that drought continues though.
Yeah. And to drop a match this late in the season when you're trying to chase that 8 seed, I mean, that's detrimental to your chances of getting
Yeah,
that 8th place spot.
that's almost a death sentence at this point. I mean,
Yeah.
you're sitting at him looking at 18, Richmond sitting on 20. You have a chance with my earlier prediction of Tormenta beating Richmond. You have a chance to get up towards that 8 seed, but I don't see them doing it this week. I think Madison is just too good.
Yeah.
But if I had to put a score on this one, I do think Chattanooga scores in this one. I don't think they score more than one. But I also don't think Madison runs away with it. I think Chattanooga gets out on them with one goal early. But I do like Madison to come back and finish this 2-1.
Okay. I'm going to say Madison 2-0. They've been playing really well lately. Certainly you know that I love to watch the stats, but you love to watch the eye test and everything. But even by the eye test, this is a good team. And
Very good.
um, I think that Chattanooga coming into town, um, winless in at least their last five, going into a rowdy Bree Stevens field against a Madison team that's undefeated in their last five, in at least their last five.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Madison gets the job done. I think it'll be 2-0. They get the clean sheet.
It's fair. They do have a great guy in goal.
Yeah, Burn Shipman's having a good season.
Mm-hmm. Very much.
Um, all right, so after the 6 o'clock kickoff of Forward Madison and Chattanooga, we have a 7 o'clock kickoff with Charlotte hosting Northern Colorado for Breast Cancer Awareness Night.
Yeah, this one,
I love this match.
this is a good one. I was just gonna say this one probably is the one that has. I can't say the most seating. Well, I can't say the most seating because this is the only one that is going to be decided like seating wise where teams are falling. But I think this is a sneaky good one as kind of a barometer test between these two teams. I think we all know what Charlotte is capable of, whether or not they've been showing it in the last five, which I would argue that they haven't, going up against Northern Colorado, who started the season so slowly and have really come into their own in this back half of the season. It's kind of a tale of two teams here because we saw Charlotte sitting, was it as high as first at some points in the season?
Yeah. Yeah.
Dropping all the way down to fifth at this point. And Northern Colorado, early on in the season, the talk was, is Northern Colorado going to win the Wooden Spoon this year? So, um, yeah, for them to be all the way up in third and facing a team that has dropped all the way down to fifth, that, I mean, you really do have a tale of two different teams on this one. Um, I think Northern Colorado is a very good team. I think winning the Jägermeister Cup did a whole lot for their momentum and kind of the way they feel as a club. And now they have that off their back. They don't have to worry about the Jägermeister Cup anymore. So I think you're going to see a laser focused Northern Colorado team in this one. That being said, I think Charlotte is one of those teams that is always going to be sneaky good. They're always going to be a team that you kind of overlook and you don't really pay that close attention to. And they just get results when it matters. This one it's going to be decided, I feel like, with who can control the midfield. I think Charlotte is going to try to move the ball through their midfield to the outside wings in the final third and try to get balls in, because I think they do have a slight size advantage in this one. And definitely, I would say definitely an athleticism advantage. I think we all know top to bottom, that team is probably the most athletic team in the league. So look for them to do that. But I feel like NoCo can really do some damage with some hold-up play in the middle and just being a little bit more methodical than Charlotte is.
Yeah. Charlotte, uh, I love the fact that you were talking about this is going to be a midfield battle, and I totally agree with you because Charlotte is going to want to attack down the middle with options like Luis Alvarez on the outside for those crosses in. And you're going to have Obregon in the box to try to finish off those chances. You have Gabriel Overton floating around the outside of the box for extra opportunities. He's been attacking the goal line a lot lately, and it's been really interesting to see that dynamic where he finds a way to evade his defender, go along the goal line, and try to feed something toward the top of the 6 yard box. Um, and it's been working really well for Charlotte lately. And
Mhm.
it's I I I say that, but the team's performances haven't been great. But he's been so effective along that goal line area.
Right. It's
Whereas the
not,
other side of the yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's not what you're used to seeing out of him. I mean, you're used to seeing
Yeah,
him hang out at the top of the box and be putting in shots from those spots, maybe a couple yards into the box or a step or two outside of the box. That's kind of where his bread and butter has been in the past few seasons that he's been here. So I wonder
exactly.
if it's more of teams aren't ready for him to be doing something different because they plan so hard and so much tape on him,
Yeah,
is him in and around the top of the box.
yeah, exactly. And when you look at Northern Colorado, you have this dynamic duo of Ethan Horde and um, Bruno Rendon that have been paying huge dividends for them. But they also they've been using Marky Hernandez as like a super sub. But I tell you what, that guy when he comes onto the field, he is a workhorse. Like he kills it when he's out there.
Mm-hmm.
Just a constant motor. Like he's always in motion, just applying that high pressure, um, putting you on your heels, creating those turnovers and creating those opportunities for his team to go the other way. It's Marky Hernandez like is man, he's doing a lot of this like we always talk about that like invisible workload or whatever that term that we've tossed around in the past. But he's carrying a lot of that invisible workload that doesn't jump off the the film or the broadcast as you're watching it, but when you see him and you keep track of him you see him float into those spaces and you see his movement across the other team's back line. He's a workhorse, true workhorse.
Mhm.
Um, I also love the fact that this is a matchup between two stellar goalkeepers in League One. Austin Pack versus Lalo Delgado. I
Yep.
love that matchup.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I completely agree. I, and with that being said, I do think that this is going to be a low scoring battle. I don't think, honestly, my gut really says a draw in this one, but I don't want to be that guy and choose a draw on this. Um, so I guess my head says it's going to be like a 0-0 draw, but for the sake of the show and picking a winner, if I had to choose between these two, oh, actually I like Charlotte in this one. I think the athleticism is gonna be a it's gonna be a problem for Northern Colorado. I think Northern Colorado is gonna have a bit of some tired legs going through the whole Jägermeister Cup slog and everything like that. I know it was last week or a couple weeks back, whatever it was. Um, but that catches up to you, and so picking a winner in this one, I'd have to go Charlotte, but I think it's going to be real close. I think a 1-0 win for Charlotte in this one.
Okay. I agree with you that it's going to be a close one. I think it's going to be a no-co win, and I will say no-co 2-1. Yeah. I was trying to think of like storylines to throw as far as like if they were going to go back and forth or if Northern Colorado
Hmm.
was going to get the early lead and carry it, but I'll keep it at 2-1.
Right. That's fair. That's fair. And I mean that kind of goes with what we're looking at. If you look at kind of the stats, Lalo Delgado sitting on a .89 um, goals against average. So that sits
Yeah.
that sits about right. And Austin Pack is not on the top list, and the list goes all the way down to 1.44. So
Yeah.
you might be onto something.
Yeah. And to go to Tim in the live chat, gives us some insight on the ref for that match. Um, Alexander Zelyaskov, he's never given a lot of work. He never,
He did a lot of
let's
work in the
see.
MLS.
Yeah, he did a lot of work in the MLS in February and March, and then did a little bit of center refing since then. Um,
So he's a scabby, is what he's saying.
yeah. So he has a history of throwing out some cards too. So with the intensity that these two teams play with, you could see some cards pile up in this one too. We're getting to that point in the end of the season where players start keeping track of their own yellow cards, like, oh, I need to play a little clean this match and all that kind of stuff.
Yep,
Got to play a little safe.
definitely do with a guy that gives out 9, 7, and 9 in his last three.
Yeah. All right. So to finish off week 23 of the League One regular season, we have Spokane hosting Greenville. That's going to be a 9 p.m. kickoff on ESPN Plus. Um, this is like we said earlier in the match or earlier in the episode. If Spokane wins this match, they clinch a playoff berth.
Yeah,
And here's another interesting stat from Tim at Ranting Blue Penguin Media. Spokane has gone 4 games and 47 minutes, a total of 407 minutes in league play without scoring a goal. That is only the fifth longest drought in league history. The record for a goal drought would be the Richmond Kickers back in 2019, where they went 6 games and 80 minutes. That's a total of 620 minutes without scoring a goal from May 22nd to July 20th. So big thank you to Tim for sharing that stat.
Hmm.
Love that stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as this match goes, you've got Greenville sitting in fourth place, um, sitting on 31 points. We know what Greenville's MO is: sit on your laurels on defense, make sure that you can keep everything in front of you, and try to counter and get your guys with the most skill the ball as quick as possible and have them do what they do. Um, and watching Spokane, I think the biggest thing between these two teams is really going to be whether or not Spokane gets Luis Heel back or not. If Luis Heel is back, that is a totally different team. We saw it when they played Omaha without him. What kind of happens when that team is lacking that kind of leadership and ability in the midfield? So for me, I don't know. I haven't seen anything if he's going to be back or not. I would say this match is going to really hinge on whether or not he's back. So between those two, it's obviously if Luis Heel is back, Spokane's going to want to work through him, work through that midfield, and have him direct traffic because he is so damn good at it. Greenville, though, is not going to allow that to happen. They have traditionally never been a team that has let their midfield be bullied and pushed around, which is kind of Spokane's MO. So it's a battle of two teams that both want to do the things that they do well, and they collide with each other. So it's going to be interesting. I don't see a big difference between these two teams with Luis Heel in the lineup for Spokane. I think they're very close in talent level and their ability to score goals and move the ball. So for me, not knowing right now if he's going to play or not, if he plays, I think this is a really close match. If he doesn't play, I think Greenville runs away with it.
Yeah, and for anybody out there, Luis Heel was not included in the 18-man roster for the match on Wednesday against Central Valley. Um, so no idea if that means they're going to sit him out again for Saturday's match, or if they're going to test him out, maybe even just to have him on the bench and maybe come off the bench in the second half or something like that. But at this moment in time, we would not anticipate seeing him in the match. Now, that doesn't mean they can't rely on other players like Andre Lewis, Josh Doling, or Masango Akale. There are other players on their team who can carry the load and can provide some scoring opportunities. It's just a matter of whether or not they can convert those opportunities that they are given, um, because like we said earlier, I mean, this is a team that hasn't had the greatest success lately, going up against a team that has 2 wins in their last three. Greenville has a lot of confidence on their side right now. Um, Spokane, on their hand, does not have as much confidence on their side, going winless in their last three. Um, this is going to be a battle for Spokane. Yes, they need the win to make the playoffs. I personally believe they're going to rely on the other scenarios to clinch a playoff berth.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with you on that. Spokane, yes, they do have the players to be able to do this, but they haven't proven that they can carry the team. I think if you don't, like I said, if you don't see Heel, I don't see Spokane winning this game. And with you saying he wasn't even on the bench for the game against Central Valley, I can't imagine he's going to be on the bench again on Saturday. I think if he is, He's going to see limited action, and against a team like Greenville, you need time to be able to break down their defense and figure out exactly what they're going to do because they have so many multiple looks on defense. I really have a tough time seeing Spokane coming out of this one with a win. I think Greenville probably takes this 2-0.
Yeah, I agree. Brooks Thompson only has 2 clean sheets on the season, facing a team like Greenville, who, when they want to score, they can really pile up those goals on you, as I have seen this season, unfortunately. Um, and I feel like this is one of those matches where Greenville could easily pile them up.
Yep.
So you said Greenville 2-0?
Yep. And then Tim also coming in saying that Luis Heel was listed the previous week versus Omaha with a thigh injury. So coming back from injury, that's always tough. He's going to see limited minutes if he sees time. So yeah, I got to think Greenville takes it.
Yeah. So I will also go with Greenville. I will say, gosh, I want to give Spokane 1. I want to say that they'll break the streak. So I'll go Greenville 3-1. All right. So looking a little bit further, we do have a question from Tim that was submitted via Twitter. Let me see if we have any others that are on that account at the moment. I do not see any other questions. So we have one question from Tim that comes from Twitter. You can find Tim on Twitter at Ranting Blue Penguin Media. Um, do you think the publication of the Jermaine Jones / Fuego story will end up being a catharsis moment to drive their fight for the next 3 matches, or 3 games, or one more log on the dumpster fire? I personally think that, even from the quotes that were in that story, if you don't know what we're talking about, there was a New York Times article written about Jermaine Jones and um, an investigation that was done on him during his first year here with Central Valley Fuego. With the quotes that were submitted by players in that article, it just sounds like they've resigned to the fact that their season's already over and they're just sort of biding their time. Um, if I were them, I would not have confidence of getting the 8 seed. I would be playing heavily to try to avoid the wooden spoon for a second year in a row. Um, and it's entirely possible for them to avoid the wooden spoon considering Lexington's current form.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I don't necessarily think it's a catharsis moment, but I also don't think it's a log on the dumpster fire. I think it's, and I don't want to say it's complacency. Um, a lot. I don't know how many of those players are going to return to Central Valley Fuego. So a lot of those guys in these remaining 3 matches are playing for their career, because who knows how many of them are going to get picked up from this roster. Um, so a lot of these guys, while there is a team motivation to try to avoid the wooden spoon, there's also a big individual motivation to try to do as much as they can for themselves as they head into the off season. And that sounds really selfish, but at the same time, this is a business, and these guys live on their performances. Um, so yeah, I think their current motivation is to avoid the wooden spoon and to set themselves up for success next season. Unfortunately, not with Fuego.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the whole story with Jermaine Jones goes, I think this league has already seen too many of these issues over the past couple of seasons. Um, I I completely agree with you, Rich. I think these players are playing for future contracts. I don't think any of them care if they're with Fuego next season or not. I don't think that has anything to do with it. I think they're all going to be playing to make their highlight reels stand out, and in spite of everything that went on. And no, I don't think any of this is really going to matter as far as performance for this team. I think Central Valley has not been a great team this season, and I don't see the publication of some abuse from their head man is really going to change that much about the team. I think the team kind of is what it is, and unfortunately, it's something that they had to deal with and go through. So, um, yeah, I don't think either of those things really. I I guess I really completely agree with you, Rich. Just ditto everything that you said. Tried to come up with some different points. I'm just like, no, they're right on the head, dude. I guess the only difference I really think that this is what the third time that something like this has happened in a League One roster or head coach. So it's something
Yeah.
that definitely needs to be looked at and vetted a little bit better by the clubs. But granted, there's everybody knows somebody that is a complete asshole at their job that somehow still got hired. You know what I mean? So, I mean, there's only so much you can do. Sometimes people are just better at hiding some stuff. But I think it happens far too often in this league, and I think eventually those are the things that can kill a league. So it's definitely something that needs to be looked at a little bit closer by the league as a whole moving forward.
Yeah, I agree. Well, we didn't have any more questions in the Twitter stuff, and I don't see any in the live chat. So if you're good to go, I'm good to go.
I'm good.
Tim, he's saying he thinks he might be that asshole at his job. He is not. No way.
There
Tim's way
is,
too nice.
yeah, there is not a chance, Tim.
No
You're the
chance.
asshole of your job.
No chance. Well, with that said, we have plenty of action tomorrow and on Saturday night. Um, Man, full breakdown there of clinching scenarios for various clubs, breakdowns of the individual matches. Got a lot coming ahead this weekend. It's going to be an exciting one.
Yep.
And we will certainly be back next week with more breakdowns of those matches, reviews, recaps, news, all that kind of stuff. It's going to be an exciting time. Playoffs are right around the corner, so it's time to build up that excitement.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
All right, thank you everybody for tuning in to another episode of League One on the Rocks. We will be back next week, and we'll see you then.
Thanks, guys.